Welcome to the very first episode of Kratom Sobriety. My name is Charlie, and I have 39 days clean from Kratom. This podcast is about Kratom abstinence, about leaving the leaf. If you have any trouble with the substance, whether you keep taking more than you intend, you have harsh withdrawal symptoms, and or you have a real difficult time quitting Kratom altogether, this podcast may be for you. So bear with me. You have likely heard the phrase, "he has a face for radio." So as I get acclimated with this, I may be guilty at times for having a voice for a blog. Today's episode will cover three main topics. One, an intro to the podcast. Two, a little background about my story. And three, some myth busting about Kratom addiction. First, so why the podcast? For me, trying to stop using Kratom has been one of the loneliest and hardest things I've ever done. There are very few resources to support Kratom abstinence. While I'm very grateful for the Quitting Kratom subreddit, an anonymous internet forum shouldn't be the only or main place to seek help for free. Second, mainstream recovery groups like the 12 Steps have limits too. Kratom is often a parking lot issue to discuss after the meeting, though Narcotics Anonymous is opening up to Kratom addiction. However, NA is not for everyone. Also, some addicts use Kratom as a harm-reducing alternative while staying off street or prescription drugs, and others are like, Kratom, that's a nice, cute substance, but try to get off smack, crack, or meth. Last, the pro-Kratom community really pushes the narrative that Kratom is not addictive. If you've ever posted on social media that you have trouble with Kratom, your mentions have likely been flooded with fact checkers and on occasion maybe even a clown emoji, telling you Kratom is not addictive. So that is something that makes it all more isolating. So the idea here is to create a space for Kratom abstainers and to emphasize we don't have to do this alone, because there are many of us struggling with the same issues related to Kratom abuse. Ideally, this will be the only episode with just me on it. All future episodes will hopefully feature guests at various stages in recovery from Kratom, and maybe on occasion experts on the subject. I also welcome emails and voice recordings from listeners and hope to share as many submissions as I can on future episodes. So please leave a voice message at 313-437-7720 or an email at kratomsobriety@gmail.com. I'll repeat that information in a minute. I also am printing 3D coins at the 30-day, 3 and 6 month, and 1 year sobriety dates. So if you are celebrating an abstinence milestone, get in touch, leave a quick message for the show, and I can send you one of these custom coins. So again, the voice message number is 313-437-7720, or to write an email, send it to kratomsobriety@gmail.com. So in honor of David Letterman, but obviously not as funny, here are the top 10 signs this podcast may be for you. 1, you puked your brains out because you took too much Kratom, and you've done that multiple times. 2, you brought a week's supply and went through it in only a couple days. 3, your tolerance for Kratom keeps getting higher and the benefits keep getting lower. 4, you flushed or threw out your stash and swore it off forever, only to use again. 5, you are aware of the Lipo vitamin C protocol for easing withdrawal. 6, you were kicked out of a sober living facility or lost a job for testing positive for Kratom. Other signs, this might be a podcast for you. Your plan to use moderate amounts, for example, only twice a week, failed spectacularly on multiple occasions. You rotate between buying from a half dozen head shops because you are embarrassed you are on a first name basis with all the workers there. 9, you spent more than you intended, running up credit cards, going through rent money, etc. 10, your Reddit username is Kratom No More 387 or something similar. If one or more of these apply to you and you find them to be true, this podcast might be something you want to listen to in the future. So, my story. I am just over 5 weeks clean from Kratom. At the end of my use, I was doing 5 to 6 extract shots for almost 2 months at the beginning of 2023. This is equivalent to 90 grams or $100 per day. I first encountered Kratom about 4 years ago. I could never keep down the leaf itself, so I started off on the half-gram capsules, but really did not feel anything from those caps. A year later, I tried an extract capsule for the first time, and that hit me just right. I thought I had found a wonder pill of energy and uplift without the high. I made a mistake at that time of not educating myself. There's a lot of information on the internet, and I wish I had at the time, but I didn't. So the very first year I used it like once a month. At one point, I know I went 8 months without Kratom, and it took no effort to abstain. I didn't think about it. Exactly 2 years ago, almost to this weekend, I had a really bad toothache and was given 20 pain pills from the dentist. My infection and swelling had to go down before I could have surgery, so I used Kratom in between the Tylenol threes to stretch them out. The period of time I was in pain just was more than what the 20 pills would, carry me. From there, over the next 2 years, my use steadily escalated. By early 2022, I was using Kratom once a week, and that spiked to twice a week by mid year. I did my first Kratom binge last summer while working on a home improvement project. I used Kratom for like 10 days in a row, and after that, I felt horrible from the withdrawals, and I said, well, I'm not going to do that again. Things only got worse from there. I used to do 3-pack extract caps, but moved to the 5 capsule packs. That started to make me puke every time. So the vape store guy suggested the Kratom extract shots. That was last fall when the first time I did a liquid extract. For several months, my Kratom use spiked to almost daily after that. I needed more and more to feel normal, and I developed a tolerance to the doses and a physical dependence. I tried switching from the shots to honey packs, but since those had less kratom in them, I would go through a 12 count box of the honey packs in a couple days. I used this kava drink only to realize later that it had also had kratom in it, while being so mild that I'd have to go usually after drinking a couple and get extract liquids anyway. Around Thanksgiving of last year, I tried my very highly motivated quit from the stuff. The first time I said, I'm serious. I can't do this anymore. This is the first of 3 attempts to get clean. All of those attempts ended after about 5 to 7 days of where I was free from kratom, but I went on to use again all on Fridays at the end of the week. I would just tell myself, I need to take the edge off. I'm going to only use this one time and then off to the races again. January and February of this year was a mess. I started taking 2 extract shots at one time, 3 times a day. I was draining my bank account and maxed out my credit cards. I was often at the shop right in the morning when they opened at 9 a.m., as every day was going to be my last day before I quit. I could not sleep without kratom in the evening, and I often woke up in the middle of the night with acute withdrawals. So, how did I finally quit for 39 days? First, my kratom use just got too expensive for both my body and wallet, and it simply just stopped working. Uh, No matter how much kratom I took, it just no longer was effective. And if it was, it would only work for like a half an hour. Two, I was able to get involved in the kratom specific support group with people who knew exactly what I was going through. That was really helpful. Three, I became involved in service work, engaging with other kratom addicts. Four, I made a very public quit date in a social circle in which I became really active with. And so really valued the social milieu that was created by that, and the my quit date became very important to me. And five, I had very harsh memories in my 3 other failed attempts to quit, and they all just burnt in my memory that if I used again, it just got worse. And the final time in around March 22nd or so has stuck so far. Now for some myth busting. Myth 1. Kratom is harmless and or has little potential downsides. The truth. While kratom is related to the coffee plant, it is a powerful substance in which users can experience tolerance, which means needing more to get the same effect, and physical dependence, which leads to significant withdrawal symptoms when you quit using it. Some kratom users consuming extracts, high doses, and or over a long period of time, especially on a daily basis, can experience such things as insomnia, depression, hair loss, digestive issues, and many other problems, and can grapple with significant trouble in their relationships, work, and finances as a result of their use. While it is marketed as a harmless supplement, kratom comes with significant risks that are often downplayed. Myth 2. Kratom users mostly consume the substance for recreational purposes. The truth. Some people safely use kratom for pain relief, as a herbal remedy to enhance performance or to lift their mood, and or as a harm reduction alternative. Some either use it as an alternative to coffee. It gives them less jitters. They use it at a microdose level. However, many problematic users often also start kratom consumption for the same reasons, or to self-medicate a range of mental health or physical conditions. So it is an easy substance to start consuming for beneficial reasons, only to have it turn on you later. Myth 3. Kratom abusers lack self-will and are responsible for giving kratom a bad name. The truth. Addiction is a public health issue, not a moral failing of an addict. Addiction affects people from all walks of life across lines of income, race, education, and intelligence. Both lazy and hardworking people can be afflicted with addiction, and unfortunately, this causes stigma. Only people with previous histories or extract users have kratom problems. That's myth 4. The truth is, there's a lack of research about this, but there's plenty of anecdotal evidence that people with no previous substance abuse issues and are those using extracts, meaning they use the leaf, powdered leaf, measuring it out, often very responsibly, those people can also abuse or become addicted to kratom eventually. Myth 5. Since I personally safely use kratom with no problems, the issue of kratom addiction is overblown. The truth. We don't know the true rate of kratom addiction yet, but its prevalence is not trivial. For example, there are over 35,000 people on the quitting kratom subreddit alone. So it's a major issue, and it seems to be increasing. Myth 6. Kratom addicts and abusers just need to take responsibility for their actions. Well, the truth of the matter is thousands of problematic users are seeking help for kratom addiction, and many are implementing self-help solutions through internet forums, online meetings, and mutual support without the aid of insurance companies, government, or professionals. In general, there's a lack of formal, accessible places for problematic kratom users to find effective help. With all that said, and this is not the focus of the show for the most part, personally, I don't believe in kratom prohibition. I think U.S. history proves this to be a failure at a policy level. Criminalization leads to locking people up in prison unjustly and unnecessarily, and can cause the kratom supply to go underground and become less safe. For example, kratom could become cut with fentanyl. We don't need to go all reefer madness on kratom, as the past moral panics and wars on drugs have been disasters in America. Yet kratom addiction is a real thing, and we don't and shouldn't leave problematic users to suffer without help. I'm going to close out things with two items I anticipate to be reoccurring features. First, Kratom in the headlines. I have two bits of news to share. In California, a potential class action lawsuit asserts the brand OPMS, which is the most popular Kratom product out there, hides from consumers the pernicious, addictive nature of its kratom powders, caps, and liquid extracts. The 28-page lawsuit claimed that the innocuous packaging of OPMS products and the understated disclaimer on each label misrepresents and misleads users. The lawsuit contends the alkaloid levels in a single OPMS black extract are equivalent to roughly 119 milligrams of morphine. I can't verify the scientific validity of that claim, but those black shots are what I was using at the end. And from my experience, the liquid extracts definitely had a very strong morphine-like effect. Second, a police chief in Minnesota faces a criminal charge for allegedly stealing more than $940 worth of kratom extract shots. According to the criminal complaint, the chief is accused of taking liquid extract products from the business without permission from February 1 and February 16th of this year. This is equivalent to about 50 kratom shots. He apparently did not earn loyalty rewards for these unauthorized transactions. All kidding aside, it is really easy to get hooked on these extract shots and then have your mind warped and into making poor choices. I'll put links in the show notes to these news stories. Last, I want to share the resource of the week. If you Google help with kratom addiction, the first pages of results are commercial rehab centers or drug clinics. When I first tried to quit, I desperately looked for kratom-specific support groups and really hit a dead end for months. Just weeks ago, I finally found quittingkratom.org. They host 2 Zoom meetings a week, as well as a WhatsApp chat group for supporting kicking kratom. Visit quittingkratom.org for more information and to get connected with the good folks there. I highly recommend it. I have personally found it so helpful. All right, folks, that's it for the first episode. Remember to leave a voice message at 313-437-7720 or send an email or audio file to kratomsobriety@gmail.com if you have an anniversary to celebrate or want to share something for a future episode. I'm printing these 3D coins and I would love to share them if you are celebrating 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, or a year. You can also find us at Kratom Sobriety on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next week, keep it kratom free.